Welcome to Moonbeaming, a podcast about creativity, magic, tarot, lunar living, and more. I'm your host, Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, and I am so happy you are here today. Hello, my loves. Hello, my babes. It is so wonderful to be here with you all today on this big week. My book comes out this week. There's a launch party on Monday, the 14th. That's going to be at Skylight Books with Pam Grossman. It is free and open to all. I think you just have to RSVP. I'll put a link, you know where. And in honor of that, I'm doing a giveaway. I'm doing a giveaway of 5 books. 5 of the Moon Book copies is going to go to 5 people who review this podcast. If you've already reviewed this podcast, awesome, you're in. I'm just going to put your username on little pieces of paper and put it in a bowl, and that's how I'll do it. So don't even worry. I love the fact that you've reviewed this. I'm so grateful. The reason why people love reviews, one, it makes us feel good. Makes us feel like we're not screaming into the void. And also the algorithm, like if it's really annoying, but if there's more reviews, that means that it will pop up in the algorithm and more people will find it, which means that there might be more listeners. So that's why we love reviews in this house when they are 5-star reviews, of course. So here's what's going to happen. Anyone who's reviewed this podcast, awesome. Anyone who wants to review this podcast, please do it in the next week. Step 2, and this is important, please be subscribed to my newsletter. I'm going to announce the winners on my newsletter. That makes it really easy for y'all to email me the address you want me to send your book to. So please subscribe. I will put all the links in the show notes. Review, subscribe, and then in the email that I send out on either the 20th or the 21st, I will announce the winner. And you can write me back and give me your address, and I can send that out to you, hopefully by the 22nd or the 23rd, or whenever you give me your address. So I love you. I appreciate you. I want to give you some books. And if you want to leave a review, you'll be in a drawing so you can receive some books. Pretty easy. Babes, this week, big energy. We have a new moon solar eclipse. It's a total eclipse. Those of you listening in the southern hemisphere might be able to view it. Those of us in the northern hemisphere, I do not think this is our lucky day, but we might be feeling the energy. We are right on the cusp in the northern hemisphere of the new moon. So there might be this breaking open energy. There might be this clearing energy. There could be this energy of optimism or exhale that is happening. And of course, this is just before the solstice, which marks our sort of official new-ish, moon-ish time of year-ish in the north. And it is also about a week before an event, a cosmic event that astrologers call the Great Conjunction. Renee and I spoke about it in our last episode, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's really going to be interesting to see if we feel different energetically or if we can feel it energetically as we are introduced to this feeling of air. Aquarius. It's interesting to think about how we might have the opportunity to tap into different energies. I was thinking about how I work with air, particularly in magic, and I'll work with air when I want visions, when I want fresh ideas, when I wish to think about communication, intelligence. And I use intelligence really, really broadly here. I use communication really, really broadly here. Philosophy, when I also wish to attend to nervous system regulation, air is really useful for me. The breath is really powerful for me. When I'm interested in tapping into the energy of innovation and when I want to travel metaphorically or literally, although maybe not so much literally, but traveling around your neighborhood or walking around in nature is absolute travel. And so is meditation and hypnosis and trance and the exploration of ideas and really interesting dialogues and so on and so forth, right? And I tap into air energy when I want truth and clarity. And of course, the new moon energy is fire energy because it's in the astro sign of Sagittarius. So I'm really, really interested in seeing how this is going to play out in terms of fusing of air and fire, because air and fire are friends. Air helps fire to grow, sometimes too much, but for those of us who are interested in growing our interest, our sparks, our instinct, this could be a really, really good time to break free and get some energy moving. And, I wanted to share this information with some of you, well, with all of you, because you're listening. My guides sometimes will wake me up in the middle of the night, or I'll put it this way, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and then I'll get a bunch of information that definitely does not feel like it is coming from me. So I say it's my guides. It could be anywhere. It could be source. It could be spirit. I'm sure some of you listening have similar experiences of being woken up and receiving information, and you're like, this is not me, because it sounds clear for one, and it's 4 a.m, and that's like when I am definitely not clear, and it resonates on some levels. So I wanted to share this with you here now, some information. And they really were telling me that this time is about getting clear. Getting clear is not about absolute knowing. It's not about feeling like you have a grip or you are in control necessarily. This is about discernment, and it is about understanding motivations. Being able to look underneath the hood of the car, so to speak, of interactions, specific relationships you have, so that you can ultimately end up in some form of deep compassion with yourself and maybe others. And maybe if you can't quite get there with others, being able to discern people's motivations at least can offer you more clarity, which can offer you a bit of detachment, which might be useful in specific relationships or in specific roles. This clarity is about understanding where to expend your energy. Do you need to begin something with someone else? Meaning, like, do you really need to start anything right now with anyone else, projects or relationships? Why? Or if you say yes to something now, do you understand what you're going to get yourself into? Do you understand the terms? Do you understand the conditions? Have you read the fine print? Have you asked the right questions? Do you have a clear grasp? It's okay to pause and not make any major decisions right now if you don't feel total certainty around them. Having clear understanding is found through clear communication, clear expectations, and understanding what your role is going to be. So part of this is you being as clear and transparent as possible. They also said fundamentally what this is really about is about getting clear with yourself. What are your motivations? Why are you doing what you're doing? What are your expectations? Knowing why you are doing something is incredibly important right now if we are both going to break harmful patterns and turn towards new iterations of ourselves and our relationships. By the way, turning towards the new, turning towards something different, something that you're craving, something that you love, something that feels a bit exciting or enchanting, is a form of breaking patterns. And if you touch base with yourself and the answer or the message is, but I don't know the answer, or I don't know another way, please give yourself compassion and put it out into the universe. Talk to some trusted friends. Message your subconscious. Let other people or other energies or other parts of yourself help you find that clarity. So through the end of the year, most likely, if you spend enough time consciously, enough time in conversation with that which you are trying to summon, you will receive more information. So, for me, when I find myself in states of confusion or unknown or not knowing, and I want to find clarity and I want to gain some sort of understanding in order to make some specific decision, I will put it out there. I'll ask my cosmic helpers. I'll ask my subconscious. I'll ask my dreams to bring me the information that I need in a time period that feels like I can deal with it, in a time period of a week or a couple weeks. And I'll make a little promise that I'm taking one step forward as well, that I'm going to turn my head towards clarity or make finding some kind of understanding a priority. So anything that helps get energy moving, anything that helps bring stillness and space in order to reconnect to your inner wisdom and inner desires is really excellent to prioritize now. Okay, my babes. So a lot of folks let me know that they wanted me to do a card of the week. They wanted me to keep that segment. So I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it for the foreseeable future. And I cannot make this stuff up. I received these messages from my guides like 5 or 6 days ago. And just before I sat down to record, I did my meditation. I pulled a card for the week and I thought, come on, because it's so much incongruence with the messages that came through in the middle of the night for me. We got the Two of Swords. So I received messages about trying to find some kind of clarity And here we have this archetype about choice, decision making, needing to find peace and inner wisdom. And also, it often is a card that correlates with new moon energy. There's a new moon in the traditional Rider-Waite Coleman Smith in the background. I believe, though, the astrological correspondence is moon in Libra, not moon in Sag, but I'll take a moon where I can find a moon, won't you? So this card is about how we invite in new opportunities at the same time, feeling like there's some sort of block or feeling like there's some kind of unknown. So this week, there could be a kind of last gasp energy. Thoughts like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Why is this happening again? Especially as you're trying to step forward into the new. That could surface. There could be the energy of feeling like in some area, in some arena of your life, you are in between a rock and a hard place with trying to make a particular change around something important in your life. This is most likely going to be a week where you are going to have to advocate for yourself in some way. And squirrel friends, I'm even talking about with yourself. Like, do you always have to do the most? Why? What's that about? Where in your mind have you set up minefields of shoulds? And where do these shoulds, I'm bunny earring the shoulds in quotes, bleed out into other relationships in your life? What silent, long-standing contracts with yourself do you need to end? What are the ones that aren't helping you? The ones that constrict you? What distractions do you put in place to make you feel busy, which makes you feel needed, or overly extended, which mirrors maybe your childhood household growing up, or your last serious relationship, or whatever, any kind of programming you're carrying around? Whatever those are, please notice them for what they are. They are patterns you can break. They are just ideas. They are ways of being, but you can move through them. So in this card, in this archetype, the answer is so often about going within, going past those surface ideas or that surface noise into your intuition. So this week, I'm going to suggest, if you feel in resonance with this suggestion, to experiment. When it feels safe, do an intuition check-in. Before you go to do something, whether it's loading the dishwasher or picking up the phone, check in. Ask your intuition what you need to do or what you want to do. Get comfortable connecting to your intuition, finding ways to listen, right? It could be a tingle in your belly, or it could be a voice that's coming through the back of your head or coming from inside. It could be messages from your dreams. Find a type of connection to your own knowing this week. Last but not least, I'm just laughing because I could talk about this. We could just do card of the week and that would be the podcast, babes, but I got other stuff I want to share. So last but not least, this too often connotes being ready to go do something else. Hardcore, like really like I'm finally getting ready, but needing to wrap up a few things first. Needing to attend to something, needing maybe more rest or recovery. So this is like this beginning energy emerging, but there might be some kind of obstruction to like fully running out and getting to do the thing. Or it could be like a little seed sprouting out in the distance and you're like, I can't see the seed, but I feel the seed. So stay with what wants to bloom forth. And also understand that part of beginnings is attending to things that you have to wrap up or the stuff that's just in front of you. The yearning of that newness isn't going to go away. You're going to tend to it eventually, so long as you can clarify what that is, how you will honor it, and what needs to happen first. So if you feel like that, you're not alone. We're here with you. I'm calling this energy, this eclipse energy, chaotic neutral. Maybe you all feel the same. So be good to you, check in with your intuition, deal with what you got to deal with, and trust that you are going to be gaining more momentum. So I wanted to talk more magic of the minors. I wanted to continue the exploration of the minors, the fours that correlate with 2020, our Emperor year. I'm just squeaking in. I don't think I'll have time for all of them, but I wanted to talk today about the Four of Wands. And before I talk about the Four of Wands, I did want to talk about interpretation. I wanted to talk a little bit about how to interpret cards when they come up for us. We know, you know, I know, Spirit knows, tarot gods and goddesses know there are endless ways to interpret and work with the tarot. And I'm actually working on a project that discusses this. It'll be out in early 2021. Goddess willing, fingers crossed. It goes into a lot of detail, so I'm excited to get that out. And I think it'll be really supportive to a lot of folks. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of ways to see cards when they come up, particularly in like a daily pull, particularly when you ask a question, you ask about a mood, and this card comes up. So cards can be invitations. We know the fours, as we talked about previously, are about structure, support, sometimes springboards, foundations, protection, boundaries, repatterning, safer spaces, safety and security. I also find them often to be a experience of integration, about finding or having the tools and resources you need. And if you pull a four and you feel the opposite of protected or resourced, then this can be a helper card. The archetype can help point you towards where you must put energy, efforts, and your time in order to cultivate this particular energy, this particular support and resource. The fours, really all the minor arcana, point to this idea of the whole or the idea of holistic health. That's because we have the four elements. We have the four suits. They remind us that everything is connected, sometimes in direct ways, sometimes in ways that are more abstract, but we know that to focus on one aspect, to focus on one element, does help with the whole. So like, for example, say we do boundary work, that influences our self-worth. That in turn might influence what we're doing with career stuff and so on and so forth. We've all had that experience, right? Like when I invest in my relationships, my whole life gets better. I'm able to do things with more ease. Maybe my health even improves. We know this. I love each minor encapsulating an experience of a particular elemental energy, which in turn highlights specific aspects of ourselves and our lives or our experiences that we can focus on in order to step more into wholeness. So we talked about the two. The two is this like introduction energy, this sort of beginning, this choice, this union. The four can illustrate what happens as a result of these invitations. If we tease out this seed, and it becomes a living, breathing plant or tree or little ecosystem. Threes are so much about embodiments, exchanges, collaboration, momentum. It's this creation energy, I believe. And the fours is this opportunity towards stability, towards a process in which ways are working or flowing in a way that is ultimately supportive. It's asking us to trust in that energy when it shows up for us. And in a world that is currently so chaotic, that is so chaotic neutral, the fours really underline that these feelings of trust or resourcing start with ourselves. We got to find it within. Other ways that tarot cards pop up can be as affirmations. We've all had this experience, super ironic, sometimes rude, sometimes downright uncanny. When a card pops up, it like literally is a mirror of what is happening in our life. And that's why it's rude where you're like, you pull a tarot card and like you're crying or something and you get the 5 of Cups. And you're like, really, dude? Like, come on. Like, tell me something I don't know, I have found in the experience of repatterning or resourcing, particularly for those of us with PTSD, CPTSD, those who don't always feel safe in a body or safe in our reality, or those of us who experience safety or getting to safety or trusting safety as uncomfortable. Those of us who've developed patterns of control as a reflex slash coping mechanism, all of this security and trust feels uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable at first to radically rest with the 4 of Swords. It feels uncomfortable to make our desires a priority with the 4 of Wands, to take up more space in our life. It feels uncomfortable at first if we've been in this like hustle, survivor kind of energy to conserve our energy, to protect our energy with the 4 of Pentacles. But these cards can often reflect back to us that our attempts are working. And over time, with practice and discipline, our efforts will pay off. So we can work with these cards as a calling in energy or a meditation device when it's our helper card. You can pull out the 4 or the 4s, or of course, any cards that you want to collaborate with. You can concentrate on the essence or part of your life that correlates to a certain card, a specific card. Like my main babe really is always the 9 of Pentacles, but lately, geez, I've been craving all of the 4 energies. Maybe you have as well. So you can just pull the card out in your morning meditation, a few times a day, sink into that energy. You can ask yourself, what would the 4 of Wands do? Or what is the 4 of Pentacles asking me to explore and try out? Another way I love to work with the tarot cards is as co-regulation devices. Co-regulation refers to certain social relationships and the way that one adjusts themselves when interacting with another in order to maintain a regulated state. I would also extend that to energies, situations, circumstances, a lot more than just specific social relationships with other humans. But if we're talking about humans, we are constantly, consciously and unconsciously co-regulating with one another in awesome and maybe not so awesome ways, we're responding to another's energies. We're responding to physical movements, facial expressions. And for those of us who are really sensitive, really perceptive, energetically sensitive, for people with trauma, this can often be exhausting and even re-triggering as we try to match other people's energy or even subconsciously process their energy, or even pick up on unsaid emotions and then try to respond or process those in particular ways. That's why like energetic boundaries are imperative as far as I'm concerned. We know that's another episode. I'm not going to get into it here. And also, I think it's super important to consciously practice co-regulating when it feels safe. And one way we can do that is co-regulating with non-reactive energies, such as energies we find in nature, like the elements. This can really help us to unravel some maybe constrictions or some knots we have. This can help support our nervous systems. And for those of us who are intuitive, we can even receive messages from clouds, air, the bird on the windowsill, plants. I receive messages or hang out with my plant baby friends, and it makes me feel really good. Maybe you have the same experience. So the archetypes of the tarot can help serve this purpose because their symbology folds in energies, myths, cosmic energies, planetary energies, the elements, experiences that can summon up really good feelings, good sensations in our bodies, and we know that it might not be appropriate or comfortable to co-regulate with every card. Like, I'm not really dying to co-regulate with the Nine of Swords, for example. But real talk, one of the most comfortable energy, especially if we want to feel more calm, more grounded, is the fours. So try to co-regulate. This is about support. This is about trying to access feelings of security. The Four of Cups could be a warm bath. The Four of Swords could be tabletop breathing. The Four of Wands could be gentle movement or not super pressurized creative activities, right? Or just listening to music. Co-regulating with earth, that's Four of Pentacles. That's super restorative. So if you feel called to call in any of these cards or even the Two of Swords energy that we talked about, co-regulate with a card that you feel like is going to be supportive for you. Here we are. Now let's talk about the Four of Wands. Traditionally, I have heard this card called the wedding card or the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah card because there appears to be a huppah. There definitely is some kind of party. We see people gathering at a party. There's this gorgeous structure made out of wands and flowers. There's like this invitational committee that's saying like, come on in, come on in. There are people gathered. It feels really beautiful. It feels really nice. If we are looking externally, this card can call to awareness community. Wands are fire, fire being supported. I think of bonfires, cauldrons, maybe even hearths or ovens, places where humans naturally just want to hang out, where they just want to gather, commune, exchange energy. It's like energetic exchanges. It's like a fun dinner party where all of the guests are buzzing. Obviously, we haven't really experienced those this year, really, but we have had Zoom rooms. I recently went to a Zoom gathering that was super beautiful, so it can totally happen, it can totally happen. It can show us we're ready to experience intimacy of all different kinds. It can highlight where there might need to be shifts in certain relationships that we have. It can show us where we need to be more vulnerable in order to create deeper connections. And it can also, of course, highlight where we might be feeling isolated and lonely, where we want to feel like we belong or like we're supported. And just straight up, we know this card references pleasure, play, fun. We need humor. We need dancing, movement. We need love and silly interactions in our lives now more than ever. And The Four of Wands reminds us to invest in pleasure for pleasure's sake, connection for connection's sake, beauty for beauty's sake. There's all kinds of ways we can bring this energy into our lives. Buying yourself flowers, bringing someone else a thoughtful gift, creating moments that remind us why life is worth living, you know? And if we want more of these experiences with pleasure, we need to create them. They aren't just going to come our way. I mean, sometimes they do, but often this card can serve as a reminder that we have to create them. Put on that outfit that makes you feel sexy, even if no one else is there. Make yourself a nice little meal. Eat it by candlelight, Send your friend a really funny meme. I always say Mimi. It's meme. Mimi looks cuter to me. Send your friend a funny meme or a silly voice note or a funny cat video where the cat is like doing something like hopping on a curtain and falling down, but then being okay or whatever. And let those exchanges fuel your aliveness and your life force and your creativity. In trauma speak, we have triggers, which every witch and her mother and her mother's great grandmother know about. There's also, though, this term called glimmers. That is chasing beauty, finding moments of safe sparks, leaning into creative acts or acts of comfort, reminders that you are alive and that life is, in fact, worth living. And the Four of Wands energy can come in here. This can be glimmer energy. It can be about prioritizing the things we so often do not prioritize because we've got to be adults, we've got to pay the bills, or we've got to do things for other people, we've got to caretake, and then we don't step into pleasure or we don't have the chance to do certain things. And then that creative force turns stagnant or resentful or gets blocked somehow. So this can be the creative rehabilitation card. And creative rehabilitation takes discipline. It takes trying. It takes scheduling in. It takes prioritization. This year, I wrote a newsletter about each card. And one of the messages I shared in the Four of Wands newsletter is that discipline is sexy. Bringing in anything, whether it's fun, spirituality, creativity, meaningful relationships, whatever it is, this is a practice. And I spoke about fours being containers. So, what are the containers for your pleasure? Do you need to masturbate? Do you need to light a little candle and love yourself? Do you need to put in your calendar that 20 minutes a day you're going to, put on comedy and laugh or draw or whatever it is? If you're getting this card and you're waiting for creativity to happen, or you're waiting to be invited to the party, or you're waiting to become more sensual, you're waiting for these things to just magically appear on your doorstep, this card is a gentle nudge to step into the discipline of creativity, sexuality, desire, spirituality, play, and pleasure. Muses need to be tended to. We know this. And so this is what this archetype is showing you that you got to do if you're not doing it. In terms of shadow work around this card, there are a couple different ways I just want to discuss this card coming up. One is jealousy, just straight up, jealousy being an indicator of your own needs. What jealousy often shows us is what we are craving. If you find yourself jealous of someone else, that is awesome information because it shows us what we need to focus on in our own lives. Is it ease, abundance, joy, confidence, friendships, connections? These are all things that can come up with Four of Wands, you know? It's like you look over and you're like, what? That person wrote 17 books this year. What? That person's like, appearing to live their best life. And we all know that appearances are appearances and there's always other stuff happening. Everyone's lives are complex and nuanced. But if you look over there and you're like, I want that, that is a message. You can call on those things in your own life. You can focus on bringing forth connection or intimacy or more creativity in your own life, you know? And that brings me to another aspect of shadow work with this card. This card can often be this calling in of all the parts of ourselves. This is a card about integrating our spirit. It's spiritual integration, the aspects of ourself, the inner child, the diva, the nerd, the mom, the friend, the whatever it is, whatever that has been hiding out. So those brilliant aspects of ourselves that have been ignored, the parts of ourselves like down there in our psyche saying like, pick me, pick me, pick me. Like they were in gym class in middle school or something like that. Choose them, invite them in, say, you're welcome to this party. Acknowledge them, love them, bring them forth so that you can step into more spiritual integration. And when we engage in this kind of process, it shows us this really juicy part of Four of Wands energy. And that is the aspects of how our higher vision moves through us, how we collaborate with others in order to create more ripples of beauty, creativity, joy, support, authentic reflection, all of it. I'm really lucky enough to have a couple of good friends who are just like so much themselves. They're so good at being themselves authentically. They're so good at bringing forth who they are with so much heart, so much authenticity. And they express that in such a beautiful and powerful manner that what it does is it inspires me to be more of myself. And that is real Four of Wands energy. It's this like illustration of magic. It's this illustration of the magic of higher vision, the magic of bringing forth yourself. It's this creative spark that has now blossomed into a bonfire. Wands are action and movement oriented energy. So this card shows us the gifts that come to us. When we take this spark. We become more and more ourselves. We delight in that. We take action around our creativity in the form of discipline, in the forms of collaboration, of spiritual integration, and that then delivers us into a community of trustworthy, exciting, brilliant beloveds. I think about that saying, I'm going to paraphrase it here, but I know it's a Jewish saying, and I've heard other people also share this sentiment, but it takes nothing for a candle to light another candle. I think about when I'm sinking into this card, I'm thinking about that sea of lighters when we used to go to concerts, when the band would like do their ballad or, do their banger or whatever it is, and all the lighters would go up and there's just like sea of beautiful people all in the same energy, all in this relation, all in this relationship with themselves and creativity. And it's just this like really, really nice Four of Wands energy. So these are just a few interpretations of this archetype as came through to me this week. There's just some ways I wanted to present working with this archetype. And that's what I've got, my brilliant beloveds. So thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your reviews. Thank you for commenting that you like the podcast. It makes me feel so good. Don't forget to enter the giveaway this week. If you haven't, write your review. If you haven't, subscribe to my newsletter. And I'll be back next week wishing everyone a safe and beautiful and expansive new moon solar eclipse. Until soon. Moonbeaming is brought to you by Modern Women. I am your host, Sarah Faith Gottesdiener. The wonderful editor is Caitlin George Parker. Music is by myself and Will Owens. Thank you for being here with all of us. Witches brewing in the kitchen, witches dreaming